previous class we have discussed about the relative velocity. Now today we have the topic relative velocity in terms of position time graph. Let's see here what happens about the relative velocity in position time graph. Consider there are two objects which have uniform velocities v1 and v2. Object 1 moving with v1, object 2 moving with v2. First object, second object. And suppose these velocities are uniform for the bodies. There is no acceleration in the motion of two bodies. Now we have to discuss about the relative velocity. Relative velocity of first with respect to second, या relative velocity of second with respect to first in position time graph. So here we have three cases to discuss. Case number one. Case number one is when v1 is equal to v2. When v1 is equal to v2, see here, in position time graph, position means distance traveled with the body represented along the y-axis, and time taken by the bodies are represented along the x-axis. You know that when the motion is uniform, then in position time graph you will get the straight line inclined on time axis. Consider the initial positions are, suppose this is x1 0 and this is x2 0. Position coordinates of the first object and second objects are x1 0 and x2 0. x1 0 मतलब 0 टाइम पर पोजीशन है x1 और x2 0 means 0 टाइम पर पोजीशन है x2, मतलब they are initial position. So suppose this is x1 0 and this is x2 0, x1 0 and x2 0. Let's draw the position time graph for the first object. Since the motion is uniform, then you will get the straight line inclined on time axis. Similarly, when you will draw the position time graph for the second object, it will also be a straight line inclined on time axis. But see here, case first is v1 is equal to v2. It means both have same slope. See here, this is v1 and this is v2. In previous class we have discussed about the slope in position time graph or distance time graph or displacement time graph. The slope of the graph represents the velocity. Since both objects have the same velocities, so both graph line will have also the same slope here. And if both have the same slope by the x-axis or time axis, then both will remain parallel to each other. See here, both lines are parallel to each other. This shows that both have same slope. Same slope means same velocities, and this is our case here. Okay, when v1 equals to v2, then what is the position time graph? The graph line obtained for both objects will remain parallel to each other, and the separation between them, the distance or separation between them will remain constant. वो distance क्या होगी? Separation होगी x2 0 minus x1 0. This is the separation or distance between the both objects will remain same throughout the motion when both are moving in at uniform motion with equal velocities. One thing more about this case, what is the relative velocity? What is the relative velocity of first with respect to second? Yeah, relative velocity of second with respect to first. Both will remain 0. You know that v2 1, it is v2 minus v1, and since both have equal, so it is 0. Since both have the same direction also, so it is 0. And similarly v12 is also 0. It means relative velocity here is 0. Let's see the next case. Case number second. second is V2 is greater than V1. V2 is greater than V1. Let's see here. Position along y and time along x. And again, the initial coordinates are x10 x20. Suppose this is x10, this is x20, initial coordinates of object 1 and object 2. And see here, v2 is greater than v1. It means velocity अगर दूसरे की ज़्यादा है, it means the slope of the graph line obtained for second object will be greater than the slope of the graph obtained by the first. भाई वेलोसिटी किससे रिप्रेजेंट होती है? पोजीशन टाइम ग्राफ में वेलोसिटी रिप्रेजेंट की जाती है स्लोप से. स्लोप मींस इंक्लाइनेशन, tan थीटा ऑफ द इंक्लाइंड एंगल. सो हियर देखो मैंने x10 को ऐसे ड्रॉ कर दिया, x20 ये देखो ये स्लोप है, दिस इज स्लोप, दिस इज स्लोप. इफ दिस इज थीटा देन tan थीटा विल बी द velocity or slope of the line. And similarly slope of the second graph, जैसे इसको हाई कर दो, because the velocity of second is more than the velocity of the first. So देखो यहाँ difference देखो, suppose this is theta 1, this is theta 2, so theta 2 is greater than theta 1, so velocity of the first is less than velocity of the second, as we have the case here. So first line shows the velocity of the first, second line velocity of the second object. And see here what happens. In this case, when v2 is greater than v1, then the separation between both lines gradually increases. The separation between both will gradually increases. ये बिल्कुल वैसे ही है, समझ लो जैसे लास्ट केस था. देखो बहुत इजी है समझना. देखो टू व्हीकल्स, दो कार हैं, एक थीफ की एक है पुलिस की. एंड सी दिस, सपोज दोनों के बीच की डिस्टेंस 1 किलोमीटर स्टार्ट में थी, है ना. और अगर दोनों की वेलोसिटी सेम हो, ये भी 40 किलोमीटर पर आवर से स्टार्ट किया, ये भी 40 किलोमीटर पर आवर से स्टार्ट किया, दोनों अगर सेम स्पीड से करेंगे तो क्या दोनों एक दूसरे को कभी पकड़ पाएंगे? पुलिस क्या चोर को पकड़ पाएगी? नेवर. दिस इज द केस फर्स्ट. अगर दोनों की स्पीड या वेलोसिटी कांस्टेंट रहती है, सो बोथ विल नेवर मीट ईच अदर. दोनों के बीच का जो सेपरेशन है वो हमेशा कांस्टेंट बना रहेगा. एंड सेकंड केस क्या है? सेकंड केस में है ये रहा थीफ और ये रही पुलिस. अब कह रहा है कि अगर मान लो ये फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्ट मान लिया मैंने, इसे फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्ट है, ये सेकंड ऑब्जेक्ट है, हियर आल्सो फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड. अब क्या दिया जाएगा? सेकंड की वेलोसिटी फर्स्ट से ज्यादा हो गई. सी द केस हियर, अगर सेकंड की वेलोसिटी फर्स्ट से ज्यादा हो गई तो क्या होगा? ग्रेजुअली द सेपरेशन बिटवीन देम इंक्रीजेस. हर एक सेकंड के बाद इन दोनों के बीच की सेपरेशन ग्रेजुअली बढ़ती चली जाएगी. मींस पुलिस कैन नॉट कैच द थीफ हियर, है ना. पहले में भी नहीं पकड़ पाए, लेकिन कॉन्फ्रेंस देख रही है उसे कि हाँ 1 किलोमीटर डिस्टेंस पे है वो चोर, लेकिन वो पकड़ नहीं पाएगी. बट सी हियर इन दिस केस द थीफ इज ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीजेस द सेपरेशन बिटवीन बिटवीन दीज टू ऑब्जेक्ट्स, पुलिस वैन एंड थीफ कार. तो दिस इज द सेकंड केस. नाउ सी द थर्ड केस. अब थर्ड केस में जरूर चोर पकड़ा जाएगा. लेट्स सी हियर वन मोर थिंग हियर. What is the relative velocity? See this, v21 relative velocity of second with respect to first. v2 minus v1 is always positive because v2 is greater than v1 and दोनों के बीच का सेपरेशन बढ़ता चला जाएगा और ये वैल्यू हमेशा पॉजिटिव में बढ़ती चली जाएगी. Now see case number third. Case third. Now what is the case third? What should be? V2 is less than V1. See here. Position along y, time along x. Now see here. These are the initial coordinates x1 0 and x2 0. Suppose now see here v1 is greater than v2. Here v1 is greater than v2 means slope of first should greater than slope of the second. तो चलो पहले slope for second टाइम बना लेते हैं. Suppose this is the slope of the second, which represents the velocity of the second object. This is v2. And now slope of the first, it should be greater than second because here velocity v1 is greater than v2. So see here, ये रहा case. Means slope of the first is greater than slope of the second. So they are intersecting each other. They are crossing each other. पहला दूसरे को overtake करेगा. And for this case, ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है? देख लो, क्लियर है. V1 बड़ा करना है आपको. So for showing it greater than V2, we have to take more slope than the second. और अगर इससे स्लोप ज्यादा लोगे, स्लोप मीन्स यही बता रहा है एंगल. ये एंगल बढ़ा दो, इससे एंगल बड़ी दिख रही है ना. ये दिस इज θ1. ये देखो यहाँ क्लियर करते हैं, शार्प करते हैं फिर से. दिस इज सपोज θ2, दिस इज θ1. तो देख लो यहाँ पे θ1 θ2 से बड़ा दिख रही है एंगल. सो the first has more velocity, more slope than the second. Now see here. तो इस केस में दिख रही है पुलिस चोर को क्रॉस करते हुए निकल जाएगी. क्यों भाई? उसको पकड़ लेगी, क्रॉस करके निकलेगी. क्यों? सी हियर, पुलिस एंड thief both are moving in along the same direction, and if velocity of the first means police is greater than the velocity of the thief van or car, then it will means police car will catch the thief when you see this time. ये intersection point है. Intersection means when both are overtaking each other, when both are meeting each other. और जहाँ पे वो मिल रहे हैं, from this position, if you draw on the perpendicular on time axis, you will get the time. Suppose t1 is the time at which both are intersecting. So see here about the relative velocity. First of all, you can say that कि x20 minus x10 जो दोनों के बीच का सेपरेशन था, initially it is positive. Initially it is positive because भाई x2 x1 से ऊपर है. So it is positive initially. कब तक वो positive होगा? जब तक ये दोनों मिल न जाए. At this position x10 equals to x20, that is suppose x. x10 मत कहो, उसे बोल दो कि at this position when they are meeting each other, both will be at the same position. Suppose this is x, small x नहीं, मान लो कुछ और कह दो. Suppose that this is a C. C is the position at which both will be at the same position where they are meeting each other, and when? So at time t1. So initially x20 minus x10 will be positive. After this meeting point, x20 minus x10, या मीन्स सेपरेशन क्या दो, इसे जीरो मत कहो. सेपरेशन बिटवीन देम ग्रेजुअली increases. First separation between them decreases, and again after meeting them the separation between them again increases. And what about the relative velocity here? V21 is V2 minus V1. and since here v2 is less than v1, so it will be negative. So this is about the graphical analysis for relative velocity. So this was the last topic of this chapter number 3, motion in a straight line. Now we have to solve the numericals of the chapter. So we can start from the question number 3.2. See the question 3.2. Question number 3.2. The position time graph for two children A and B returning from their school O to their homes P and Q respectively are shown in the graph. Position time graph is given for the relative velocities of two children A and B. They are returning from their school O to their homes P and Q. See the graph. See the graph here. A, B, this is O, that is school, and their homes locations are P and Q. P and Q. P along x-axis and position along y-axis. Now see the question here. इस क्वेश्चन में this is the position time graph for motion of the two children A and B. They are returning from the school O to their homes P and Q. मतलब A का घर है P और B का घर बना Q. They are returning to their homes from the school O. School location, school position O. Now see the questions here. Question number A. A or B lives closer to the school than B or A. First question ये है कि we have to check whose house is closer than the school. So it is clear in the graph. This position graph, position axis. So see here, P is closer than the Q to this school. भाई OP OQ से कम है, OP OQ से कम है means P किसका घर है? P घर है आपका A का और Q पोजीशन किसके घर की है? B के घर की है. So it is who is closer than the other? A house या home. What is given? जो भी हो home ही लिख दो. A house is A's house कहना चाहिए. A's house is closer than the B's house. कहाँ से? From the school. See the second question. A or B starts from the school earlier than B or A. Means in this question we have to check who starts first. Who starts first means A और B दोनों में से किसने पहले स्टार्ट किया मोशन कहाँ से कहाँ करना है? स्कूल टू द हाउस. तो सी हियर A की ग्राफ को दिखाया गया फ्रॉम दिस ओरिजिन. मीन्स यहाँ पे टाइम कितना बना? इनिशियल टाइम 0. And for B starts from here, that is suppose this is T1 और यहाँ पे टाइम क्या हुआ है? It is 0. It means A के लिए see here for A starting टाइम क्या है आपके? स्टार्ट ऑफ द मोशन का टाइम जो है starting time, it is 0, and for B starting time it is T1 here. So किसने पहले start किया? 0 obviously. So A starts first. C, A or B. Next question, C. A or B walks faster than B or A. ध्यान दो. Who is walking faster? Who is moving faster than the other? See here in the graph. Suppose this is the position of house of the B. P is the position of the house of the A, and suppose T is the time here at which both are reaching to their homes. देखो इस पर्टिकुलर टाइम T पर A भी पहुंच गया P पर, इसी सेम पर्टिकुलर टाइम पर B also reaches to his home. It means दोनों पहुंचते हैं एक साथ T टाइम पर ही. A भी पहुंच रहा है, B भी पहुंच रहा है, and but who starts first? A. या ऐसे एनालिसिस करो या सीधे डायरेक्ट ऐसे बोल दो. Slope of the second graph is much more than the slope of the first graph, so B walks faster. C is B walking या walks कह सकते हो faster. B walks faster than A. कैसे चेक कर लिया? या तो चेक करो टाइम चेक करके, बट यहाँ पे न्यूमेरिकल वैल्यू कुछ दी नहीं हुई है, so we can check the speed of A or B by slope of the graph. See here, the slope of the B is much more greater than the slope of the first, so B walks faster than the A. Second question, number D. A and B, please see the question. A and B reach home at the same or different time. So we have discussed here, both reaches the home at the same time. देखो, अगर P पे पहुंचने के A के टाइम को चेक करो, it is T. Similarly, B reaches the home Q at which time? At the same time T. So both reaches the same time at the same time. The answer is same time. Now check the E. A or B overtakes B or A on the road once or twice. So it is once only. And who overtakes? B overtakes A. जिसकी स्पीड ज़्यादा होगी और जो पीछे होगा वही ओवरटेक करेगा. So B has the more slope. More slope means more velocity, and it starts later also. So कौन किसको ओवरटेक करेगा? B overtakes A once only. So this is the question number 3.2. It is just a relative velocity in terms of position time graph. Now see the next question. See the question on the board. You can solve the 3.3 and 3.4 question. This is your homework. 3.3 and 3.4. Let's see the question number 3.5 here. 3.5. See the question. A jet airplane traveling at the speed of 500 km per hour ejects its products of combustion at the speed of 1500 km per hour relative to the jet plane. What is the speed of the latter with respect to an observer on the ground? See the question here. This is the jet plane. Jet plane moving in upward direction with 500 km per hour, and the product of combustion, you know that when the rocket or jet planes launches, then it ejects the product of combustion here. So it is speed has speed 1500 km per hour, but it is not the actual speed of the product of combustion. it is given this is the speed of product of combustion with respect to the jet plane. See the question, the speed of 1500 km per hour relative to jet plane. So there are two things here. First, v1 speed of velocity, you can write here, velocity of jet, and v2 दो ही चीजें यहाँ मोशन में हैं, एक जेट, दूसरा प्रोडक्ट ऑफ कंबस्शन. वेलोसिटी ऑफ गियर आल्सो, velocity of combustion. So see here, what is this? This is the velocity of product of combustion with respect to the jet plane. So it is V21, it is 1500 km per hour. Try to understand here. It is the question of relative velocity. V21, V21 means velocity of the product of combustion with respect to the jet plane. यहाँ मैंने माना हुआ फर्स्ट को जेट के लिए, सेकेंड को प्रोडक्ट ऑफ कंबस्शन के लिए. सो V21 is the 1500 km per hour. And since suppose ये भी यहाँ कैसे करना होगा, if upward motion is taken as positive, so downward motion will be negative. So it should be negative because product of combustion coming downward. So see here what is the question. In this question we have to find the actual speed of the product of combustion. Means the speed of product of combustion observed by the observer on the earth surface. So see here question. See the question here. What is the formula of V21? V21 it is equals to V2 minus V1. And what is V21? It is minus 1500. What is V2? Means actual velocity of product of combustion. It is, see this, it is also going downward, so we can put it minus V2. अगर यहाँ माइनस आप नहीं रखोगे तो आंसर में नेगेटिव आएगा, और अगर स्टार्ट में मैंने माइनस ले लिया हुआ है तो इट विल कम इन पॉजिटिव. सो लेट्स सी व्हाट इज आंसर साइन. V2 is the velocity of the product of combustion with respect to the observer observing on the earth surface. Or what is V1? V1 is the velocity of the jet plane. It is 500. देखो इसे पॉजिटिव लिया गया हुआ है. It is positive and this is negative because the velocity of the product of combustion is downward. So what is V2? V2 is minus 1500 plus 500, or V2 it is equals to minus 1000 only. So this is the velocity of product of combustion with respect to the observer observing from the ground surface, and this minus sign shows that it is downward. So this is the question of relative velocity. One, now see here the solution of 3.7 here. Here the two parallel tracks are there, train A and train B. Both are moving in the same direction with same speed, V1 and V2, where V1 is equal to V2 equals to 72 km per hour. You can convert this kilometer per hour speed velocity into the meter per second. 72 multiplied by 5 by 18 for converting this into the meter per second. 18 4 ja and 4 5 ja 20 meter per second. So these are the velocities of trains A and B, both in the same direction. So we have discussed two objects are in relative motion. Then what is the relative velocity? V21, here it is VBA. It should be VA and VB. So what is VBA? Relative velocity of second means B train with respect to train plane A, it is 0 because both are same, 20 minus 20, it is 0 meter per second. So see here the very important hint and very important trick for solving the numerical based on the relative velocity. ध्यान सुनो, अगर दो ऑब्जेक्ट रिलेटिव मोशन में हैं, so we can treat the question as the same way by which we have discussed the question earlier, like uniform motion or uniformly accelerated motion. आप जानते हैं जब बॉडी यूनिफॉर्म मोशन में होती है तो वी कैन सिंपली यूज द काइनेमेटिक इक्वेशन, and when the body moves with a uniformly accelerated motion, then we can use the three equations of motion. So we can treat the relative velocity questions as the same way by getting only one concept. क्या concept है? ध्यान सुनो, body A, body B both are in motion, and we are suppose calculating VBA. Suppose VBA मिलता है आपको x unit. So by taking this x unit, listen carefully अपना, जिस ऑब्जेक्ट के रिस्पेक्ट में ये रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी निकाली गई है, here the body is A, तो जिसके रिस्पेक्ट में निकाली गई है रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी, उस ऑब्जेक्ट को रेस्ट में मान लो. वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट हिंट, वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट हेल्पफुल हिंट. जब भी रिलेटिव मोशन के क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करो और अगर रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी निकाली गई है VBA, तो इस VBA को निकालने के बाद जो फर्स्ट ऑब्जेक्ट था जिसके रिस्पेक्ट में वेलोसिटी रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी कैलकुलेट की हुई है, उस ऑब्जेक्ट को रेस्ट में मानते हुए अब क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर सकते हो जैसे कि पहले करते आए हो. See the question which we have discussing here. Both are in motion. If we have calculated VBA, क्यों VBA निकाला गया? Because B have to overtake A. B को A को overtake करना है. For this B accelerates uniformly with acceleration 1 meter per second square, or it is given it overtakes A in time 50 seconds. It is given. अब ध्यान सुनो, if VBA ये 0 मिला, it means VBA means it is initial velocity. जब accelerate किया, just before the accelerated motion, its velocity is 0 meter per second. ध्यान सुन लो, ये क्या है? ये रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी है. B की रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी है with respect to A before the acceleration. अभी एक्सेलरेट नहीं किया तब इसकी वेलोसिटी थी, so we have to take this as initial velocity of B. और अब रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी चूंकि मीन्स आप यहाँ यूज कर चुके हैं, निकाल चुके हैं, so now A supposed to be at rest. A को अब मान लो कि ये रेस्ट में है, so जो डिस्टेंस A के ड्राइवर और B के गार्ड के बीच में थी स्टार्ट में इनिशियली, वही डिस्टेंस वी हैव टू मेजर हियर. अगर B ने A को ओवरटेक करना है, सो B को इस डिस्टेंस को ट्रेवल करना होगा विद इनिशियल वेलोसिटी 0, एक्सेलरेशन 1 एंड t 50 सेकेंड. देखो इस कैलकुलेशन में जितना भी टाइम लगा 50 सेकेंड में, ये और आगे बढ़ी होगी, लेकिन इसको रेस्ट में मान लिया गया है. कब? जबकि आप रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी निकाल चुके हैं. ये इंपॉर्टेंट हिंट है. रिपीट करते हैं फिर से, सुन लो ध्यान से. बहुत टफ नहीं है, जब जैसे से क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करेंगे वैसे समझ में आएगा. इफ वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग VBA, रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी ऑफ B विद रिस्पेक्ट टू A, so now A can be considered at rest, and for solving that for calculating the distance we can now use the equations of motion. We have to measure the distance, x निकालनी है. We have A, T and U, so you can use the second equation of motion, that is S equals to ut plus half at square. S we have to calculate, this is x, u is 0 1 by 2 a is 1 and t square means 50 square 2500 or x equals to this is 0 2500 divided by 2 it is 1250 or x equals to 1250 meter. So this is the initial distance between the two trains. This is about the 3-point question 3.7. In next lecture we will solve some more numerical based on the relative velocity and it will clear your doubts or it will give you the more concept about the relative velocity. I am repeating again. बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट हिंट है यही है कि जब भी रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी सॉल्व करो तो कंफ्यूज मत हो. जब भी रिलेटिव वेलोसिटी निकालो तो जिसके रिस्पेक्ट में निकाला गया है उसे रेस्ट में मान के सॉल्व कर लो वैसे ही जैसे कि पहले करते आए हो. So for today's class, today's lecture, this is sufficient. Thank you very much and God bless you.